Hey guys, what's going on? James here, and the bed's gone. What can I say? The bed the bed can no longer be made again. I'm no longer in a room. I'm in some different type of universe. I have no idea. But in today's video, I wanted to talk a little bit about a question that has been proposed to me by a couple of you guys. And that question is, should the Tampa Bay Buccaneers trade for Seahawks safety Earl Thomas? Now, before I get into that question, again, I have one more quick thing I need to do. I want to give out two shout outs, okay? Now, the first one is to Jared Jackson, Mr. Jared Jackson. He gave a very generous donation to the channel, so thank you so much for doing that. The second one that I wanted to shout out is an unnamed person. You know who you are. I did not catch your name, unfortunately, because I was at work. He came through my line, and he recognized me. He said, "Hey, James, what's up? How's football on YouTube?" And I was like, oh, that was very surprising. So thank you so much for, saying hi to me. That means a lot. That really does. So with all that being said, let's talk about Earl Thomas and should the Buccaneers trade for Earl Thomas. Now, I would love for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers to trade for Earl Thomas. The question is what would you have to give up for Earl Thomas? And spoiler alert, it's probably going to be a lot. It's probably going to be a lot. So just taking a look at Earl Thomas and the type of guy he is, he's a phenomenal player. He's a phenomenal player. He's a Super Bowl champion, a 6-time Pro Bowler, and a 5-time All-Pro. That's no joke. That's no joke. Those are potentially Hall of Fame-esque numbers. Those are really nice numbers. He's one of the best safeties in the league, maybe like top 3, maybe even the top safety in the league right now. And he's only 29 years old. He could still go into his 33, 34. You could still get, 4 years out of Earl Thomas? That's pretty good. I don't think he would fall too far off in terms of his overall play. So, why don't you go ahead and try and see, especially with the recent rumors that have coming out where Earl Thomas has publicly stated either the Seahawks give me an extension or they trade me. That's pretty bold. That's pretty black and white. That's pretty like, I want a contract extension or I don't want to be here anymore. So, if let's say if Earl Thomas is available, the Seattle Seahawks say, we're going to call your bluff, Earl. What would the Bucs have to give up? Dude, I say the starting asking price would probably be a first-round pick to start, Earl Thomas is such a phenomenal player. You'd have to give up a lot of stuff. And like I said with the same video that I made talking about draft or trading for a quarterback, either trading for Nick Foles or trading for Teddy Bridgewater, you don't want to have to give up too much. And the Seahawks are going to ask for a lot. They're kind of in this weird situation where they maybe are half rebuilding, half not rebuilding. At least on defense, they're rebuilding at certain positions. So especially their secondary. So, still, he's a top safety in this league. They're going to want a lot of assets, the Seattle Seahawks are, so they can, build and grow their team in the future. So I would say at least a first-round draft pick, that's probably the starting conversation, is a first-round draft pick. Maybe you could squeak by with a second-round pick and a pretty decent tier player, but regardless of what it is, you're going to have to give up a lot. But I want to shift gears and talk a little bit about who the Buccaneers have at safety real quick and come to a decision of, do they really need Earl Thomas? I know, like, you'd want Earl Thomas, but do you have that deep of a need at safety? Well, so let's look at the safeties, okay? You have Justin Evans. Justin Evans is one of a lot of Bucs fans' favorite secondary players right now because they like how he came on last year. He was able to get a couple of interceptions. A lot of people loved that interception he got off of Tom Brady, and they think that Justin Evans is the next big thing at safety for us. I tend to agree with that. I think that Justin Evans has a very large amount of potential. I wasn't too sure about him at first, but he has, come out and definitely quieted a lot of his doubters by just coming out and being pretty good overall in terms of just being a safety. After that, beneath him, you have guys like Jordan Whitehead. You have Godwin Igwebuike. Still don't know. I don't know. You have Godwin. You have Godwin. I keep on. I never get his last name right. I think I got it right like once. Anyway, so you have Jordan Whitehead, who you just drafted in the 4th round. We obviously haven't seen what he can do yet. He could be really good. He could be really bad. Just from what I've seen in training camp, I know he's had a couple of interceptions in training camp, and he's looked pretty decent overall. Granted, that wasn't against the starters. That was against Ryan Griffin and some of the backup wide receivers. Mainly Justin Watson is who he's been, going up against a whole lot. So, I still don't think Whitehead's a sure thing yet at safety. We're still waiting on that one. Godwin, he's just a special teams player right now. He's trying to fight for a roster spot, so that one I'm not sure. Moving on to the next safety position, you have Chris Conte, who's been on this team for a while. I know a lot of people don't like Chris Conte, and that's fair. I guess that I understand, especially with how long Conte's been on the team. He's been on the team a couple of years, and some people say he's mediocre or even worse than mediocre, worse than average, below average. So whenever you're having this, what a lot of fans perceive as a below average safety, for multiple years, I imagine fans usually tend to get kind of sick of him. So I can understand why you'd want to swap him out. But all things considered, he's been here. He knows the system. You could do worse than Chris Conte. I'm sure you could do better than Chris Conte, but you could definitely do worse. All in all, he knows the system. He knows what he needs to do. He's a veteran, so he definitely knows how to go out there and just do his job. After that, you have Tandy, who for me is one of the more underrated players on this team. I feel he should have had the opportunity to start a long time ago. Maybe he hasn't been able to do anything that's just really stood out, but he had a stretch, I think, the year before last year, where he was just closing games. He was getting very clutch interceptions, and he was just really good. So, that's kind of another player where you say maybe he's a fringe starter, if not a high-quality backup. So, you have Justin Evans, who's obviously a lot of people are close to classifying him as a star on this defense. And then you have some fringe starters. I would say Chris Conte's a starter for a good amount of teams in this league. I would say Tandy's a fringe starter for a lot of teams in this league. So, if you're the Buccaneers, you're asking the question, do we need Earl Thomas so bad to the point, yes, we want Earl Thomas. Every team in the league wants Earl Thomas, but do we need Earl Thomas? Do we need Earl Thomas so bad to the point where we have to give up either a high draft pick, and when I say a high draft pick, I mean a really high draft pick. I'm talking about Darrelle Revis trade back in 2012 or 2011 when they gave up a first-round pick to get him. I'm talking about a trade like that. And you have to run the risk of it could be a similar situation to the Darrelle Revis situation where he comes in, he only stays here for a year, and then he leaves and goes to free agency. Obviously, we released Darrelle Revis, but after this year, Earl Thomas's contract runs out, I believe. So, you have to run that risk of, is he even going to like it in Tampa, and is it worth giving up such a high draft capital to run that type of risk? To me, as it stands right now, no. I don't think so. I don't think it would be a very wise decision to make that kind of risk to get Earl Thomas for 1 year. I understand that the Buccaneers are in a very fragile situation right now. They need to go out there and they need to win games and they need to make the playoffs. I completely understand that. You just made a high-profile trade, getting Jason Pierre-Paul, giving up a third-rounder to get him in this past draft. But I feel if you keep on making these high trade, high, note moves or whatever I guess you want to call it, you might end up, harming yourself in the future for, future assets and whatnot. Imagine if the Bucs didn't have a first-round pick last year and they did not good. The Seahawks would be in a wonderful position when the Bucs would probably have nothing to show for it, because if the Buccaneers did bad, Earl Thomas would probably say, I don't want to be here. I want to go play in Dallas anyway, so see ya. I'm going to go play for the Dallas Cowboys. And the Bucs would be left with nothing. They'd be left with absolutely nothing. They'd be left with a bad record, no Earl Thomas, and no first-round draft pick. That's a really, 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 really huge risk, and I'm not comfortable making that risk. I understand if some people want to make that kind of risk, and I understand. I would understand if Jason Light were to make a move like that, because, you know, it's win now mode, win now mode. Maybe not as much for Jason Light anymore, but for Dirk Cutter, Mike Smith, some of these coaching staff guys, it might be a win now mode, because who knows? They might not keep their jobs if they have a mediocre season. You know, if they go 8-8, maybe they don't keep their jobs. If they go, maybe even if they go 9-7 and don't make the playoffs, who knows? You know, I think honestly they'd keep their jobs if they went 8-8 or 9-7. But we don't know with the Glaziers. Nobody thought Lovie Smith was going to get fired, and then he got fired. I'm sure a handful of people didn't think John Gruden or Tony Dungy were going to get fired, and then they got fired. You know, the Glaziers make some strange decisions sometimes. So I think it's such a crucial season for the Buccaneers this year. Maybe they make a move like this, but I give it like a 5% chance, because you don't want to cripple your future moving forward. That's the biggest thing for me, is I like stocking assets, so if something goes wrong with certain players don't pan out, you have backup options. You have the option of, we can get a younger guy in the draft and start building him up. I love having options like that. It's wonderful. Jason Light loves it too. He made a ton of trades this past draft. He's got a ton of diamonds in the rough in his past drafts. I think we kind of share this similar philosophy to that. But let me know what you guys think about all this down in the comment section below. Do you think that the Buccaneers need Earl Thomas? Do they need to trade for him? And if you were to make a trade for Earl Thomas, what would you give up for him? Hope you guys enjoy the new backdrop. I like it. Hope you guys like it too. I enjoy it. There's some you know, stuff with it. You know, there's like a little dip here, a little thing right here. But hey, whatever. I think it looks great. I think it looks wonderful. Again, shout out to Jared Jackson. Wonderful, giving a donation. Thank you for that. I did just start a Patreon, so that's kind of cool. If you guys want to go check that out, it should be in the comments section down below as well. And shout out to that one guy who came up to me at my Publix when I was cashiering and said, "Hey, I recognize you. You're James. Da da da. You do football stuff." And I was like, "Haha, wonderful. I wish I could talk football with you, man, but my bosses would kill me. My bosses would kill me, and then I'd get fired. You know how it is." But anyway, yeah, guys, if you ever see me, you know, don't hesitate to come up and say hi. If you recognize me, you know, to say, "Hey, James, what's up?" And I'll be like, "How you doing, homie?" So yeah, you know, just it'd be fun. I'd love to talk Bucks football with you guys anywhere and everywhere. So yeah, thank you guys so much for watching this video. Hope you all enjoyed. Hope you enjoy the new backdrop. Let me know what you think about this down in the comment section below as well. And yeah, that's the end of the video, guys. Hope you all enjoyed. And as always, I will see you in the next video. But until then, goodbye for now, guys. And as always, go Bucks. Should be having a personalized shirt come out soon. What? Crazy.